Hello and welcome back to another video on Civilization 5. So today I'll be talking about why the Shoshone are a good early game civ, but they fall off on the late game and mid game. So here we have my settler. So it's all about his abilities. His abilities work really well in the early game. His unit works really well in the early game, and his other unique unit is a cavalry replacement, which is a okay replacement, but it's not enough to push him towards a great level in the late game. So let me just settle my city. So as you can see, the Shoshone get extra land, okay? So this lets you get those very important resources that are farther away from your main city, and you can work them right away. So let's say I would have like got this deer tile. Well, this could have been a really good starting resource, but it's fine because I already have a stone, okay? So, and what you start with is a pathfinder, okay? And the Pathfinder he gets to choose what he wants from ruins. So these two abilities together are really strong in the early game because choosing your ruins can let you really decide on the best ones. So like population, unit upgrade, technology, all that stuff. And having these extra boards, like I said, it gives you more resources, but also what it does is that when you're going to settle your second, your third city, you're going to be really able to grab that landmass before other civilizations can get to it, okay? And so when you're with the Shoshone, that early game boost will always bring you higher on the scoreboard. You're always going to be able to get those extra resources farther away, so you're going to be able to get better production out of your city, more food. And the Pathfinder, because it's a scout and you start with it, you're going to be able to explore a little bit faster because a warrior won't be able to explore that fast because this is acting like a scout. The only downside I would say to the Pathfinder is that let's say you want to build a warrior. Well, the Pathfinder is more expensive than a scout. Let's say you want to build like another Pathfinder. You have the warrior here that costs 20, and the Pathfinder that costs 24. So the Pathfinder costs more than a warrior, and so more than a regular scout. So the Pathfinder is going to be more expensive. So if you go, let's say, with a warrior instead for your second like production. So let's say you start off with a Pathfinder. You're not gonna go for a second warrior. You're gonna probably go for your shrine after. But if you want that like warrior unit, you won't have one starting off. So that's a little downside. But these things are a little tougher. They have 8 strength, and the scout has 5. So they're a little tougher. So in all, just to recap on that subject, the Pathfinder is a stronger unit than the Scout. You can explore more, but you won't have that early warrior unit to defend. But you should be fine. It's rare that you lose some like you got pillaged some land because the Pathfinder's not able to defend it because usually they are able to. It's just that I've seen people play, and because they don't have a warrior, they're not used to it, and they don't use the Pathfinder more defensively. Because after you've explored, you need to at least bring one Pathfinder back to your capital in the early game. Because if not, you might get pillaged by barbarians off the coast, in the jungle. And so here, after that, the problem with Mozenkani and the Shoshone and all of that is that, as you can see, their abilities are going to be strong in the ancient era, strong in the classical era, but they're going to start to fall off in the medieval era. Because after the classical era, you enter the medieval. This is the end of the early game, and you're entering the mid game. Okay, so classical era ends the early game. Okay, because you're finishing your settling. You're trying to get that national college job. You're finishing your settling, and you're starting to actually improve those cities. So entering the medieval era is entering the mid game, and in the mid game, yeah, Shoshone fall off because their abilities don't no longer impact them anymore because their unique unit's gone. Their special ability, you've already used it. The only real special ability left is their combat strength when fighting in their lands. If I remember correctly, I think that's it, right? So They receive a combat bonus when finally in it. Yeah, so the only other ability is that, but you know the Utopians have that too, but they're a lot better Utopia because they got their Steli that can give them religion, but they don't have any unique buildings. So like I said, early game they're gonna be good. Mid game they're gonna like go downhill. You can still be good because the early game, if you get that early game up, a great early game, you're gonna set up for a good mid game. But the real struggle is gonna be in the late game. In the late game, you're gonna get your Kamachi Rider, which is an okay unit, but it's not the game changer. It's not like a camel archer or a longbowman. It's not gonna be a game changer. So what's gonna happen is that in the late game, you're gonna have a little bit more trouble because you won't have any really abilities that are gonna help you. So let's say a civilization that has abilities in the late game. So let's say a bonus to the number of oil, a bonus to the number of coal, science bonus, stuff like that. You won't have that. So it's gonna be still possible because many civilizations don't have abilities in the late game. I'm just saying it's gonna be a little harder than usual because all of your early abilities are in the early game. So let's say take Greece. Both of their units are in the early game, but they're still a great fit for late game because of their ability. But your ability focuses also on the early game. So that's all I got to say on Shoshone. I just wanted to tell you guys about how he's a great Civ for early game, but slowly declines in the late game. So if you like this video, subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Bye bye.